This is a classic case of truck versus car. Both vehicles were on the highway when the road rage began.
In this video, a road rager is going to get some pretty funny instant karma when they try a brake check.
The occupants of the car were insulting the truck driver to the point of giving the middle finger. Then they drove on, but that wasn't the end. The truck driver rammed into the car from behind.
That road rager got completely smashed by that tank of a vehicle that the people filming were driving.
As if that wasn't enough, the truck hit the car again, and this time it pushed it a short distance before detaching and driving away, not before looking at the car occupants tauntingly.
Completely deserved. Perfect example of a brake check gone wrong.
What goes around comes around. Sometimes life fights for those who can't fight for themselves. This man is a testament to that.
This police van stopped in front of the pedestrian crossing to let an old man cross.
As he was about to cross the road on a zebra crossing, a car, which ordinarily should have stopped, suddenly picked up speed again, almost running into the man as he fell backwards.
But this driver decided to ignore the pedestrian and drove right into him. This action pushed the elderly man back and led to a fall.
Unknown to the uncaring driver, cops were watching him from the gray and blue van, so Ash sped away, unconcerned. The police van turned around and followed after him. Hopefully, justice was served.
The thing is that the whole incident happened right in front of the police officers, who first ensured the man was okay, and then activated their sirens and went after the negligent driver.
This next case of road rage comes from Virgo County, and it is easily one of the most disturbing cases. The white car over there had just parked, and the driver was preparing to step out of it, but little did he know what awaited him. As he opened the car door and stepped on solid ground, a red sedan came into view, moving at a high speed. The sedan rammed into both the man and his car, causing him severe injuries. Some drivers are just on the road to provoke other drivers, and the driver of this truck is just one of those. Watch as he rams into the blue SUV on the left, as he has an age-long beef with the driver. He moves back and attempts to do it again, but the SUV speeds away. However, the truck followed hotly after it. It almost looks like a race as the truck tries to catch up with the SUV to no avail. However, at some point, it successfully hits it from behind. But the SUV took a right turn instead of stopping. The truck followed it immediately to continue the show. In a fit of anger, the man in the truck came down from it and approached the vehicle beside it. He slammed the window before opening the door and going back to his car.
Oh! Mario, roll the window like that.
The other driver wasn't having any of it. He came down and approached the truck, but the truck driver was ready for him. He came out of the car with a punch to the other man's face, sending him to the ground and following it up with a slap before leaving as if nothing happened. The dash cam of a car captures a red truck trying to cut off the car on a very busy road, almost causing it to ram into a pole. The red truck driver gets out, very much prepared for a road rage.
Okay, we're driving on a busy road. Red truck tries to cut and switch lanes, cuts off the driver. Car's bouncing. Driver gets out, has some road rage.
Listen carefully. There's a slam on the window, as both drivers are probably arguing about something. All of a sudden, the red truck starts moving on its own onto the main road. Well, that brings an end to the incident, as the road rager has to swallow his anger and chase after his runaway truck.
We hear a slam on the window. Car starts pulling away. His car starts pulling away. He runs and gets in the car. Wow.
This next video snippet is a case of road rage at its peak. The video shows the truck illegally overtaking the car, causing the vehicles on the other side to drive off the lane.
We have a case of insane road rage going wrong in this video. The truck illegally passes the car and forces the other lane to drive off the road.
Realizing that the truck was messing with him, the driver of the white sedan decides to pass the truck, but the truck driver has no intention to let this happen. He keeps switching lanes, preventing the car from passing it.
The white car then realizes the truck driver is completely trying to kill him and decides they should then pass the truck. The truck driver has his ego and doesn't like this at all.
This truck driver seems to think that the entire world revolves around him. He tries to illegally pass everyone, which causes other cars to honk.
This truck driver learns that he doesn't world. When he tries to illegally merge past everyone,
the man stuck out his hand and gave the middle finger. Then he exited his car to start a fight with the guy behind him. But after realizing the guy can defend, he helplessly goes back to his car.
After realizing the driver can defend himself, he runs away like a little baby. Life lesson learned for this guy.
A driver decided to take road rage to a whole new level when a motorcyclist allegedly struck his side mirror. The biker was oblivious to the whole thing until the car was dangerously close to him, so he picked up speed, trying to avoid the car. The road-raging driver didn't stop, though, as he continued to chase the bike into a quiet neighborhood before knocking him off his bike. This Arizona man says he had a gun pointed to his head after he cut someone off in traffic. This video shows Francisco Garcia as he was driving home from the movies.
Francisco Garcia says he was driving home from the movies when he noticed a Dodge Durango swerving. Into his lane. Trying to avoid an accident, he sped up and drove ahead of the vehicle, but the driver soon caught up with him. Into his lane.
I was on the left lane and then he was just going into my lane, drifting in and out. I don't know if he was texting.
Trying to avoid an accident, he says he sped up and drove.
Francisco's dashcam shows the man approach the driver's side window and point a gun right at Francisco, punching the window when he refused to open up.
Ahead of the vehicle, but the driver eventually caught up with him. Francisco's rear camera shows the driver get out of his car, and dashcam shows the man approach the driver's side window and point.
Sometimes drivers need to rock their brains to understand why other drivers would pick at them. This Audi driver was in that situation.
Watch what this van does to this Audi driver.
The car came to a stop, respecting traffic lights. A van passed it and came to a stop right in front of it. The van driver stepped out and, for no apparent reason, kicked the mirror of the Audi. Even the Audi driver gasped, trying to understand the situation. Not in his wildest dreams did this driver expect what happened to him when he decided to road rage. A bike was in front of him, and he was getting impatient. Instead of waiting, he took matters into his own hands and drew his gun, pointing it at the biker. But little did he know that the place was surrounded by police. Guns were immediately pointed at him, and he had to exit his car, surrender his weapon, and get on his knees. Dashcam footage captured the moment a woman smashed the windshield of a car in a violent road rage incident. New Zealand woman Chantel Baker was driving behind a blue Mazda Demio on Saturday in Rangiora, near Christchurch, when the incident unfolded. Video shows the moment two women suddenly sprinted out of the Mazda and ran toward Ms. Baker's car. The windshield was shattered when one of the women jumped onto the hood and stomped on it.
Okay, so it's glass all through the car.
Miss Baker quickly put the car in reverse and drove away from the scene as the women ran back to their own car. Police confirmed a report was received in relation to the incident and said the investigation was in its early stages and no one was hurt during the incident. It's the norm that when a school bus is passing with the red lights flashing, a driver on the same road is supposed to stop.
You know how you're supposed to always stop for school buses that have their red lights flashing?
Apparently, this guy didn't get the message. He continued on, ignoring the lights and the bus altogether. But instant karma was waiting for him. He didn't realize that there was a cop car right behind the school bus, and he ended up getting pulled over.
There was a cop waiting the whole time.
Road rage is a common thing in major cities due to population and other factors. This clip is a perfect case of road rage at its peak. The video begins with about 4 people standing outside their cars and looking like they were ready to brawl their eyes out.
Oh, nigga! He tripping!
And then the fight broke out when the guy from behind attacked another. It was a moment of intense heat as all 4 of the men threw punches and kicks with reckless abandon. The lady among them was lost in confusion on what to do. Suddenly, the man in red decided to push things to new heights by swinging a piece of wound around. This video was captured by the dash cam of a vehicle. It is a stunning case of road rage between 2 drivers who wouldn't let the other pass. When a Toyota SUV attempts to overtake a white sedan and go on his way, he brushes the side of the sedan. The sedan driver is obviously in a bad mood as he forces the SUV to the side of the road, nearly causing it to topple over as it rides on 2 wheels for a while. Now, this is what we mean when we say road rage has gone beyond mere road rage and turns into something not unlike a murder attempt. In the video, we see 2 sedans, one white and the other black. Road rage begins when the black sedan driver gets out of his car, walks back towards the white car behind him, and, in an unexpected move, breaks the windshield. The other driver then begins to back away, like he doesn't want any problems. In a shocking move, the white sedan driver suddenly moves as if to run over his assailant. Then he makes a crazy U-turn and rams into the car from behind. He backs away again, but as the other driver tries to enter his car, the white SUV rams into it from the side, catching the driver by surprise. The lady has quite a temper. People with uncontrollable tempers shouldn't be driving on the road. In a fit of anger, the lady in the white sedan threw a plastic bottle at the van's window, then drove forward, exited her car, and made a hilarious display of anger. She banged on the car and broke one of the wipes. Having shown how angry she was, she went back to her car and drove away, followed closely but at a considerable distance by the van. One can hear the people in the van laughing at the lady's acts. Some people don't care who is who. They'll go ahead with road rage, even if they could just drive away. A group of bikers were on a dirt road when a car pulled up behind them. A man in white emerged from the car looking like an enraged tiger. He immediately went at it with the first biker. However, things didn't work out well for him. He was on the receiving end, as he kept being tossed around like a rag doll. The other bikers didn't even bother to intervene. They just watched as they watched the show. Only popcorn was missing to make it into a full-fledged action movie. The state of Ohio witnessed a real road rage as a couple teamed up against a man who was ready to face off with them both. The video shows two parked cars, and beside them were two men who had already turned into Anthony Joshua and Floyd Mayweather, turning the road to their boxing ring. Both men seemed like they were ready to brawl to any extent. The lady came out from the car behind, but she could only watch as her partner sent the other guy to the ground with a left hook. They all got into their cars, but the car in front wouldn't move even though the sign said "Go." So the lady had to show her own side of anger, hitting the car with her door before speeding away. Instant karma. That's what this road rager got. And he'll think twice before going on road again. The red Volkswagen stopped, and a big man came out from the passenger side, hopping like a rabbit as he pointed menacingly at the dashcam car. He looked like he meant business and was going to have a showdown with the driver. But what happened next was just unexpected. The man took to his heels, running back to his car as two cops chased after him. He had to abandon the car and flee.
Report mo sa police.
When people rage without thinking, the consequences are dire. This man will never go on a road trip again if he survives this one. The video shows how he walked up to the white sedan and made a threatening gesture before hitting the side mirror, breaking it. However, what greeted him was a bullet fired directly at him. Another case of road rage without thinking. This one didn't get shot at though, but he almost lost his car. The vehicle's in-stop brake checked the one behind, so the victim honked loudly.
He repeated the same 25-second response over and over again. The last night the baby doesn't frequently on the campaign trail, but a reporter from Brawls says a completely different take, writing, quote, and this is the title for the article.
Perhaps irritated by the loud sound, the driver of the vehicle in front stepped out to cause problems, but his car started moving. He tried to step on the brakes outside, but slammed on the accelerator instead. The car zoomed off with him struggling to control it.
I saw Marco Rubio town hall in New Hampshire.
This elderly man in Brampton, Canada, was really pissed off by another driver, so he exited his white sedan to confront him.
Yo, what's wrong with you? Yo, you were right behind me when you changed the lane. Buddy. Don't grab the camera. I got a dash cam out. Are you stupid? You're stupid.
Apparently, the truck was right behind the sedan when it suddenly switched lanes. Both drivers engaged in a barrel of insults, and after a while, the truck driver came out for a physical confrontation. The elderly man's wife tried to dissuade him to no avail. The driver of this silver Honda carried out a road rage that doesn't make any sense at all. For some reason, he moves to drive in front of the dash car and slows down ridiculously, driving at 20 miles per hour on a highway with a 65-mile sign.
Road rage moment equivalent to a toddler throwing a fit.
How is the car so next to you?
This driver from Texas decides to slow down and go 20 miles per hour.
He then carelessly slams his brakes, causing the car behind him to bump into him. His driving is so ridiculously slow that other drivers are speeding past him on the illegal side of the road. When the dash car driver tries to change lanes, the Honda goes forward to block his escape. What do you think about this?
The drivers are going around them on the illegal part of the road. What is this guy thinking? The driver then slams on his brakes, causing the car to ram right into him. He then tries to block the driver from escape.
In a road rage, anything can happen, so one needs to be careful and not too rash to act because guns can be pulled out at any time.
Get in your car!
Look at this. Look at this. Hang on, I gotta get this license.
This man in the red Jeep suddenly pulled out a gun and pointed it at another driver, ordering him to get back in his car. The other driver was not concerned and tried to get the plate number of the Jeep. Realizing this, the Jeep driver zoomed off.
Pointed a fucking gun at me. Look at this shit. You're going right, I'm going right to the...
Ever heard the saying, "There's always something bigger"? Well, this man definitely understood that saying after this incident. The burly man in a blue sweatshirt was standing beside a car window and yelling at the driver.
Who?
You're the one driving like an idiot.
Driving? She's got the phone. I have the phone.
I watched you on the phone.
I you to pick your finger up.
Oh.
He seemed prepared for a physical altercation. He didn't even listen when his wife tried to stop him. The other driver had had enough, so he got out of his car.
From my car, buddy.
Okay.
Get the Oh, you want to round?
Baby, don't.
You want to round, you little shit?
Standing almost twice the size of the man in blue, the bigger man looked down and dared him to try anything. But the man was already calm at this point and peacefully went back to his car. Talk about kickboxing. Either of these two men could have clinched a championship belt with the level of expertise displayed. The two drivers decided that the best way to settle their differences was through physical altercation, so they went at it for a while before remembering they had work to do and left. Road rage can be really extreme sometimes, causing terrible accidents. This video is a perfect example of that. The video shows two large trucks speeding on the road, one slightly behind the other. The smooth journey met its end when the truck behind decided to dangerously overtake the one in front. Just as it sped past, the first truck suddenly lost control and veered off the road, falling on its side and rolling a few distances away. The other truck driver didn't bother to stop as it zoomed into the distance. In an unexpected turn of events, this man found himself in the midst of a shocking road rage. A car suddenly cut in front of him and brake checked him, almost causing a crash. The car picked up speed, only to slam on the brakes again. Then the driver of the car in front gave the man the middle finger.
So when you're done, relay.amazon.com and we'll keep you hauling this season.
Stuck in debt and looking for a long-term solution. Tackle new challenges each day.
Just when it seemed like everything was fine, the driver's brake checked again, this time causing the man to crash into a tree.
And a career that will grow with you. Make the switch to tape.
The dashcam car emerged in front of this green sedan driver 12 miles prior. The female driver proceeded to follow the car and tailgate it the entire time. The dashcam car went to turn off, and she tried to go around and cut it off. But she ended up ramming into other cars. Everyone was all right. Cars were not so much. Some road ragers get instant karma for their unreasonable acts. That's exactly what this lady faced.
What are you tweaking about? I have an 82-year-old man in...
She angrily threw a bottle at this car and then got out for physical confrontation. But karma awaited her. As she stepped out, her car started rolling away. Standing between the car door and the car itself, she couldn't stop it from rolling. The car hit a van, trapping her there. When she got free, she redirected her anger towards the van driver. This road rager found himself at the end of the line because of recklessness. The video shows him arguing with a cop. When the cop pulls out a gun, the man takes to his heels, running for dear life. But he suddenly found courage. He stopped and turned to face the police trooper. As if possessed, he suddenly starts running towards the cop, but the cop was still armed. He simply aimed his pistol and fired twice, sending the man to the land of no return. In the heat of the moment, a man lost control of himself and began to kick furiously at the car behind him. It was a clear case of road rage. He kicked the side mirror, breaking it and flinging it to the road. Then, as if he'd done nothing wrong, he went into his own car and drove away, while the victim remained in the car. Moments later, a police patrol car pulled up to the area, and a lady handed them the footage of the incident. This bare-chested man, looking like a wrestler, displayed road rage in its finest quality. There are two men sitting in a car, and the bare-chested man is determined to see them without a window. He first admires himself in the mirror before hitting it with his head. Then he slaps it and begins hitting it with a piece of wood. He simultaneously tries to break the mirror and the window. All the while, he keeps yelling at the men. After destroying the mirror, he successfully breaks the window and grabs one of the men by the shirt, yells at him, and then goes back to his own car.